And these are the cards that we're asking that you pray about filling out as a family, and then bring them on August 23rd and 24th to the night of worship and to our Sunday morning service, where we launch and we step into this initiative with a commitment of saying, God, here's my yes, here's my whatever it takes. You take and bless it and multiply. And so a lot of people have asked, how do I fill this out? How do I fill this card out so that I can do it in the best way possible? And this is a tool for you, right? This card is not something that will determine our vision or will determine what God's called us to do. It's not something that you're legally bound to. This is a tool to make this a spiritual process for you, not just math homework, but a spiritual process that you can enjoy with God. And you can go back and see, here's where I am. Here's where we want to grow. Hey, we've had some things come up, and it's gonna slow down. And you do whatever God has called you to do. So how do you fill this out? The first box on here is what I or we would normally give in a year. So if you're a monthly giver, or you want to go back and look, you just look, say, hey, we give this amount in a month typically on average over the last year. So let's multiply that by 12, and we'll put that in the first box. And then in this journey, maybe God's called you to take a step and increase and expand your giving, as He's called us to expand the mission of our church and to step into something this big. And so this is where you would put that. And so maybe God has called you to increase your giving by X number of dollars. You put that number of dollars times 12 in that box, and that's your giving over 1 year. And this is a 2-year initiative. So you would then add those two numbers together, and you get a total, and then you multiply those by 2, and that goes into box number 4. And that gives you your 2-year total of what you are called to give every month and over the next 2 years. And then there's another box where we have gifts from our stored resources. This is our one-time legacy offering, whatever it takes offering that we bring on August 23rd. And we're believing that God is going to multiply this and allow us to actually purchase the property and begin the process of legacy there. And so this offering is what God has already trusted you with: a savings account, retirement, resources that you want to sell, property you sell, any of those kind of things that God is calling you to give. It's amazing how God is already working in people's hearts from our vision nights and things, and people have already come to me and said, look, I've received this money and God has called me to give it, or I've saved this money over the years, or I'm actually going to sell some stuff I don't use anymore so that I can give towards this. And so in box 4, you have your 2-year total, and then in box 5, you would see this is what God has called you to give, to kickstart and to launch and to be a catalyst to begin this initiative. And then you have you would add those two things together, and you put that in the yellow box there. That would be your total 2-year commitment that God has called you to do in whatever it takes. And